All right, case 2.
I can take this one.
Okay.
So from low power, you're kind of drawn to some very dilated, looks like vessels within the very super, like the papillary dermis.
Yes.
Very dilated, and then as you look down deeper into the papillary dermis, there's these more like almost slit-like vessels that are kind of going through the collagen here.
Yeah, little compressed channels, I agree.
Yeah, and then when we look back at like those big dilated vessels, you can also see some of the endothelial cells kind of popping into the lumen of the vessel.
Yep.
That's called the Hobnail phenomenon,
Mm-hmm.
and would make me think of a Targetoid Hemosiderotic Hemangioma or Hobnail Hemangioma.
Very good. Nice. I'm looking for one other feature that we usually have. Oh, look, it's a little tiny bit of organizing thrombus. Is basically the very earliest little bit of meson tumor, papillary endothelial hyperplasia, which I see in this entity pretty often. Oh, this is the last thing I was looking for. There it is. Hemosiderin, which is usually present in these, as the name implies. So, targetoid hemosiderotic hemangioma, also known as Hobnail hemangioma, as, like you said, dilated, kind of cavernous, meaning big dilated, thin-walled channels, often with hobnailed endothelial cells that bulge into the lumen. Sometimes they look like the head of matchsticks, like the old-timey matchsticks on, well, I guess they still make them, matchsticks, wooden ones. I will point out, hobnailing is seen in a lot of different things and is not a specific finding. You can see it in malignant things like angiosarc. You can see it in a lot of benign things. So if you see a hobnail, don't freak out. But this entity usually does have hobnailing endothelial cells in these dilated channels. So dilated channels, underneath it, more compressed, slit-like, or compressed channels that trickle down. This one doesn't have a ton of them, honestly. I'm trying to find some good ones here. Kind of crunched little channels that trickle and infiltrate a little bit in between the dermal collagen. So this is why it's good to know about this, because that infiltrative growth is sometimes a bad thing in vascular tumors, like angiosarcoma, Kaposi sarcoma. They infiltrate. Most benign things tend to be well circumscribed or lobulated, but not always. There are some exceptions, and this is one of them. Now, this doesn't infiltrate way down deep like you see it disappears down here. It's just going from the papillary dermis, maybe into the superficial part of the reticular dermis. So the dilated channels with Hobnail cells, the compressed slit-like trickling channels going between collagen, and then usually there'll be hemosiderin. So those three things are kind of the triad for targetoid hemosiderotic hemangioma. The name implies that they should look targetoid clinically. I will tell you they can sometimes, but most of them don't, that I've seen in practice at least. Most of the time when I see these, the most common clinical diagnosis that they're submitted with is rule out dysplastic nevus. They look brown and like a pigmented lesion, and they're usually biopsied because they look like a funny pigmented lesion, and the dermatologist is a little worried that it might be an atypical melanocytic proliferation, a dysplastic nevus. They are often in kids or young adults, and the hemosiderin is what gives them that kind of darker color clinically. They can occasionally have an actual nice target, and those are really pretty when you see those, but I would say, honestly, that's a minority of cases. This is a good entity to know about because there are like 3 other entities that look very similar to targetoid hemosiderotic hemangioma at the surface level, okay? Those are lymphangioma circumscriptum, which is basically lymphatic malformation, even though we call it lymphangioma. It has dilated channels at the top, just like this, but it doesn't usually have these compressed channels in hemosiderin. And classically, it's going to have no blood in it. It's just going to have some pink lymph fluid. But here's the problem with that. If you let blood sit in the channels, the red cells and the serum will separate out from each other, or the plasma, or whatever, and the proteins in the plasma will start to kind of congeal together, and you will begin to see fibrin here, which looks like lymph. So if you happen to get blood that washes out and the channels are empty, this will look just like lymphatic channels. If you happen to get the specimen sits in the specimen cup and the blood settles and you get a funny cut and you see all this, if I showed you this, anyone would say, oh, it's probably lymphatic, right? I'm a soft tissue pathologist, and I can't definitively tell you lymphatic from vascular channels just on H&E all the time. I can be pretty sure, but I've been wrong many times. So we can use a stain for that, right? If we want to, D240 or podoplanin will stain lymphatic channels. But interestingly, Targetoid hemosiderotic hemangiomas are actually thought to be actually lymphatic in origin, even though they have blood in them and they're called hemangioma. They probably are actually truly lymphatic. So try that out on your friends at your next cocktail party and see if they're impressed. Don't do that. I'm just going to tell you now. All right. So we got targetoid hemosiderotic hemangioma, lymphangioma. Angiokeratoma looks a lot like this. Just push these channels up further and have the epidermis surround them, and then I would call it an angiokeratoma. They look very similar. And then the last thing, that if you see something that looks like this on the breast of an adult woman, you need to check for a history of radiation therapy or breast cancer. Because in people that have been radiated, and particularly we see this on the breast, but probably just partly because the breast is the most, probably by far the most common site to receive radiation therapy. But in any radiated skin, but especially on the breast, we see something called post-radiation AVL, atypical vascular lesion, which sounds like a made-up name, but is actually the proper term for these post-radiation things that are thought to be benign, although very rare cases may progress to angiosarcoma, but it's pretty rare. Most of them are probably benign. They can be single or multiple. They are like usually skin-colored little papules in radiated sites. And I use a little bit different cautious language about I want to make sure I'm seeing the base, that I see a clinical photo, patient needs follow-up, all that. So in any case, just know those. So those 4 things should be in your differential. Targetoid hemosiderotic hemangioma, lymphangioma, angiokeratoma, post-radiation AVL. And those 4 things look very similar. All right? So in this case, though, knowing the trickly channels and the hemosiderin. And one other expanded thing you could add is Kaposi sarcoma. Kaposi sarcoma rarely can get this kind of lymphangioma-like pattern. I've actually never seen a great example of that in real life, but I've seen it in study sets. But this down here, where you get the trickly compressed slit-like channels, that patch stage Kaposi can look a lot like this. So that's it. If you got any doubt at all, do an HHVA stain and you solve the problem.